I did not. I haven't got a chance yet. No, I just sat down.
No.
I had a question on that, Claire.
Yeah?
On the minutes, it said that we approved Article 5. Okay? And the number that we used doesn't seem to me that it's appearing in the latest stuff from Heather.
Okay. Oh, that's the Omnibus Budget. We have to change that,
Yes.
and it will probably be changed again, she said.
Okay,
So
all right.
that we should
That was
redo
one
that
issue.
and vote it to be given. Because there may be some changes before,
Oh,
Tuesday.
oh,
So she suggested, when I talked to her today, that we rescind that vote and re-vote it to be given.
Well, we're
okay.
gonna,
So
Oh, there's some,
do we do that before we approve the minutes or not?
well, who hasn't read the minutes?
I haven't.
You haven't, Brian?
But go ahead. Somebody
You
wants.
gotta, okay, if you'll trust the rest of us. Somebody wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of June 18th, 2020. But we have to, well, are we going to say we're going to rescind that?
We'll just approve the minutes right now,
Oh, okay.
because that's what we did. And then we have to change it.
Okay, so I'd
Can I
like
get
to
a
make a
second?
motion to,
Second.
All in favor?
good.
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah? Now, we've got some here that we're not gonna be able to vote on. Article 1 and 2 of the sewer. And they're still working on the water budget. Gee, wasn't it the water one you said we needed to change?
Yep, and it is changed. I can give you the numbers now if you want to change it,
Okay,
and it'll be done.
all right, let us get to that.
This is Article 1, page 28, right?
Page 25.
25.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's where the,
Well, it's got to be changed in both places. It's going to be changed on page 25 and page 28, so there's two places.
Gotcha.
yeah. Okay, 25. Is everybody ready to change it?
Claire, just FYI, Heather sent me all this so I can share anything if you need it, Claire, just let me know.
You can put the page up.
Yes, she sent me everything, so if you'd like me to share anything that you're talking about so everybody can see it,
Well, maybe that would be good if you could on page 25.
I'll try, see if I can figure it
Okay.
out.
Very good, very good.
Good job.
Great.
You're seeing the page 25?
Yep,
Okay.
Yep, we are.
Okay, that's the new,
perfect. So it's under indirect costs, transfer from water to general fund. It's the second line down, water, health, and life. Where
Yeah.
it says 23,632. The number should be 26,632. So it's gonna change that 91,896 to 94,896. for a total of $563,064.
Now, did everybody get that?
How's that?
Which one was it? What,
The water, health, dental, and life head under indirect costs. It's going from
Yeah.
23,632 to 26,632,
okay,
which then makes the total indirect costs 94,896, not 91,896. And then the total expenses will be 563,064.
And then you said, Jean, there was another
Page-
change on 28?
Page 28, because it's the same water fund again. This is the Article 1. Is going to reflect what we just did. So we have to change the revenue under water receipts. It's 533,622.
Yeah?
536,622. For a total revenues of 563,064. And then we're gonna go down to under expenses to the indirect costs, the last line. It says 91,896, 94,896. For a total of expenses of 563,064.
Okay.
Gene, should that be changed in the actual motion as well above that with the final numbers read? The 560,064.
Yeah. Figured once we did, Heather's gonna have to go through and pick them all, like, put them all, because it's gonna go in the article amount funds too. It's gonna change 63,064.
Okay, so that'll be changed after.
Yeah, because she's gotta go in and redo this anyway, so,
Okay, thanks. Gene.
yep.
So, can we vote on this budget now, Jean?
On water, yes, water and sewer are both done.
Okay, what were you talking to Jason about? I didn't let you know.
On the article, it says proposed motion on the top. It says, I move the town appropriate the sum of 560,064. That's gonna have to be
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
Heather went and changed that, and then down after the bottom, it says article amount / the article is the amount of, that's gonna be changed too.
Okay, yeah,
But she'll go in and change that when she changes these other numbers
yeah.
for the final document.
So we can vote on that number if
Yep,
somebody wants to make a motion on that.
How are we gonna vote on it if she's gonna change it?
No, it's not, she's not gonna change it, it's gonna change in the motion.
yeah, I just changed the numbers, so the numbers you're voting on are 563,064.
Right, okay. I make a
So the
motion,
motion will have to be rewritten.
Yeah, but this
That's all.
document isn't final yet till Heather finishes it, so.
Yeah,
She'll go in and fix all that.
okay, I'll make a motion, we accept favorable action on, it's the water budget, $563,064.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any no at all? No?
What?
So it's approved. Now, the next one was the sewer. That
Well,
one hasn't had any changes, has it?
No, this is good as the way it's written right now.
Make a motion for favorable action, Article, 1 under sewer.
Article 2 on the sewer.
Article, excuse me. Article 2 on the sewer, for $789 and $581, $789,581.
Second.
No, it's 745,467.
No.
Is that what you said, Brian?
right, that's a new,
No, my sheet.
no, he didn't say that.
Oh,
No, all right, have to go with somebody else's sheet then.
Where's Brian's numbers?
Go around.
Have you got the latest sheets, Brian?
He's got the same ones I have.
Thank you.
Because she sent some
I'll
out
make a
today.
motion for,
hey, Rob, can you put up page 29?
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, okay, there's the numbers.
Yeah. She sent a new one out late this afternoon.
Oh, see, I didn't have time to get that.
Okay.
Um,
Because she made some changes in the columns. I didn't keep that sheet of paper.
copy.
so we need a motion for favorable on Article 2.
Yeah, for this number,
Okay.
the
For
745.
745,467, the
Yes.
sewer.
Can I have a second?
I'll second that. I see it.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now, Joshua, are you there? He was. On the next one, we haven't taken a vote on it. Article 3. I sent you a message about moving that to the end because we really won't know what free cash we need to move if we need to move any. And what the number will be.
Are you saying you want to deal with that at the end of town meeting?
Yeah,
Well, that's fine. I mean, someone just needs to make a motion for that. Are you also then suggesting that I should not include that one in the consent agenda?
yeah, because we need to go through all the articles so that if some of them go to free cash, then we'll know what our number is to take out of free cash.
Is that the only one that applies to?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So I will, when I do my motion for the consent agenda, I will skip Article 3, and then immediately after consent agenda has been dealt with, I'll entertain a motion to move Article 3 to the end of the meeting.
Yeah, that would be good.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. So we don't need to vote on that, we'll have to vote on it at the time. Then, Article 4, we hadn't voted on.
I had, we did.
Article 4.
I had down, I think we did.
Because on the thing here, it's, the latest one says to be given.
We didn't know the number before.
We didn't vote for that, no.
No, but we didn't have the number, the reserve balance in sheet, so we just got that
Article
number. Yeah,
Okay. Do you have it now? Because she gave it to us on the last sheet, the last
yeah,
printout. It's
five,
542
4, 2, 3, 5.
359.
Right,
So we can vote on that.
so I'll make a motion favorable for Article 4, the ambulance receipt reserve balance, $542,359.
Can I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, now, we didn't vote on the omnibus budget and,
Claire,
yep,
can we go back to Article 4, because you wanna vote to use $475,000 of the ambulance receipt reserve for the ambulance budget.
okay. Could you reword that one? Was it Ted gave it? Or do we have to rescind what we just voted?
Well, because you want to vote to use, you're not voting to use the entire ambulance receipt reserve balance. You only need 475,000 of it, so you need to vote to.
Oh, I see what on the,
You're gonna vote for
Yeah,
475.
see how it's written, Ted, in the, Article 4? It's 475,000?
Right. So that's what,
We're only
that's
taking
what
part of it.
we're going to be favorable for. Oh, okay, so.
Yeah.
To use the 475 is what you're voting to use.
Right. So, what do we do? Cancel the first one, or?
Yeah. Where
What's
we
the
voted
right
on
way
it.
to do
we
that?
have to- Yeah. So can somebody,
Why don't we just make a motion to cancel the whole thing and start over?
Yeah, just to rescind the vote on ambulance receipt reserve balance of 542,359.
yeah,
That rescinds it, so that's gone.
Okay.
So do that vote.
Okay. Second.
I'd like to make a motion on Article 4 to rescind the 542,359 number.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Right. So now we have to,
Now you want to make a motion to use $475,000 of the ambulance receipt reserve to fund the ambulance budget.
okay. Okay. I'd like to make a motion on Article 4 for favorable for using 475,000 from the ambulance reserve fund for the ambulance budget for this year.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So then we'll leave the, omnibus budget out.
Omnibus is right.
Then we will go to Article 7. We have the number that the assessors need. which is the 15,725.
I make a motion, we have a favorable action on Article 7 for $15,725.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next one is Article 9, which is the revolving fund.
We usually approve that, right, Claire?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Jean,
and we've got all the numbers now.
oh, you do? Oh. These
Don't,
are just-
you don't have them in your print off?
I was just wondering what, I was gonna ask Jean, what is
What?
actually in, some of these accounts? I mean, do you have the numbers? Are they anywhere near these numbers?
Bob has them up here.
So currently, where?
Yeah, that PEG grant's the one that has that 400 and something thousand in it.
He has it up?
It's in here somewhere.
Oh, whatever.
We're not,
So you're
We're not-
really authorizing them to spend, this is like a revolving account, so you have to tell them every year how much they can spend out of it? So that's what you're authorizing them to spend $25,000 out of this.
I understand that, but I'm just curious how much.
that isn't on this, is it?
It's on page 27. It says Cable Act Special Revenue Account. It has $436,305 in it.
So I'm on the revolving funds that are on
Yeah, I'm
35.
lost.
Just a minute, Brian.
This is for,
Article 9, I thought.
yeah,
We're doing I thought you were doing Article 8.
Already did that.
no,
No,
9.
we already,
We voted for 8. We already voted for 8.
Okay.
So we're on 9.
so,
Are you with us, Brian?
I'm with you, but I give up. I can't,
Have you
I don't
see
like
it up on the
the
screen?
setup, I guess. I don't like this. I like person to person, I think.
Yeah. But we can't do that, so.
Everybody does. I'm
But
with you.
these are the regular ones that are in there every year.
so, I'd like to make a motion for favorable action on Article 9 for the revolving fund, as shown on page 35 and 36.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Now we come to Article 10 and 11, which are both the snow removal. And that usually comes out of free cash. Somebody had mentioned about doing a transfer. But Jean, I thought, didn't you think that wouldn't be very good?
Transfer from where?
When we, what do you call it? Transfer the monies from the different accounts.
I don't know that you're gonna have enough to do that.
Okay.
I mean, we're not gonna know for another couple of weeks what we're gonna be able to do with that, so we need to make
Yeah.
this on this now, because otherwise you're gonna raise it on the recap. That's your other alternative.
Yeah.
And I don't think we wanna do that.
But those numbers shown there are the ones that are okay, right?
Yes, those are.
5149,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. So if we can have a motion first for Article 10,
I'd like to make a motion for a favorable action on Article 10 for snow removal. $5,149.
Second.
from, you gotta tell where it's from,
Oh,
Ted.
Snow removal account
From free cash.
001. From free cash, yes.
Yeah,
Sorry about that. I don't, which was,
can I have a second on that now?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now, Article 11 is the other snow removal. Will be the same thing, but with a different number, different dollar amount.
if I can get it right this time. Make for favorable on Article 11, snow removal expense account. Take the money from, free cash for the, and for $30,638.63.
Can I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Now,
We already did 12.
the next one we didn't vote on was the Article 15 for the Ruggles Lane parking lot. Heather was gonna try to talk to Sheila, but she hadn't gotten in touch with her again yet. So do you wanna leave that open as to be given?
Yeah, maybe we can find out the, we're gonna have a meeting before the town meeting, like we usually do?
Before the meeting, before the town meeting,
Right.
yeah.
Well, we can,
The town meeting's at 6, so maybe we'll meet at 5.
yeah, I mean, 50,000 doesn't sound like it'll go very far as driveways, but it would be nice to know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, yeah. So we can do that, we'll,
Hey, Claire,
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Here, move it.
Claire, on Article 14, it says here regarding the ambulance, it says taken from free cash or borrowed. I thought we had a discussion that we wanted this to be,
we voted free cash.
the language here says or to be borrowed.
Nope, there's one up there that says, I move the town to vote to transfer the sum of $285,000 from FY19 free cash to purchase and equip a new ambulance.
Oh, all right, I
Two
got
options on there,
I
and that's the option we had said we would.
I have an old copy, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, you'll have to print off this new one
Yep.
that came today. Okay, so we'll leave the Ruggles Lane. Article 17. I thought we had voted on that to,
Favorable.
favorable, but it says to be given on here.
Yeah, my notes, I had it already voted.
So it says to be given on here, so maybe, should we vote it again
Why
to
not?
cover us?
Why not?
Yeah,
Make a motion for favorable action on Article 17.
Article 17, right?
Yes, Article 17.
Okay. Do you all agree?
Agreed.
Agreed, yeah.
I don't know, maybe we shouldn't take that money. I don't know, gotta think about it.
And then the last one that we didn't vote on was Article 19.
Right. Do we have a selectman still available here?
Matt was there.
Was.
I believe you have the whole board on now.
Okay, good.
Okay. Brian's got a question for you guys.
Maybe you can give me a rundown of what's going to happen, what you really want to accomplish here, because this article doesn't really specify that we're looking to set up. Because I mean, our problem with spending the money was that we didn't have a plan whatsoever. But apparently, you feel we need to have this 100,000 in there before we can do a plan.
Which article are you speaking of?
Speaking of the last article, number 19.
The last article is 21.
Oh,
Yeah, this is 19.
I'm sorry. See, I'm having a bad night. I gotta go home.
No, you can't. Not yet.
Why don't we skip to 21 and do it?
Well, we already voted on 21, but you can ask them questions about it.
Yeah.
But we need to vote on 19.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry. I never such a screwed up meeting.
Of course, I can't find them.
19 is the generic, normal choose town officers. So
Yeah.
if somebody leaves an office, the board appoints someone to fill until the next election.
Right. Make a motion, we have favorable action on Article 19.
Second.
All agree?
Yes. All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's all that we have to get done before we start the public hearing.
10 minutes ago.
Brian, do you want to question the selectmen on 21 now, or
Well, I mean,
wait through the public hearing going through?
we can do it now.
Okay.
We're
So
10 minutes late. Go ahead.
we dug out an email from December of 2018 where Andrew received cost estimates for, I think it's 5 different roads in town that need expansion. Spring Hill Road, Hawes Hill, Murphy Lane, Loring Road,
Okay.
and I'm missing one. But of all 5, the lowest estimate was 68,000. The other 4 started approaching 100 up to 130,000, something like that. I forwarded that email to the finance committee based on the email addresses I could find.
Yeah, I didn't
You
get
have it in your email, but I just did it about 45 minutes ago, maybe. So it took me a while to find it because it was.
So there is a plan in place. We have a rough idea what the cost might be. So, you know, as far as I can see, it'd be a go. I would change.
Well, Brian, Matt, what is that? How'd you pick those 5 roads?
We had asked Andrew, and he had worked with the cable company, and the cable company came back and said these are the roads that aren't covered, that they don't have lines on the street yet. And then we had asked what it would cost to have lines put on the street, and Andrew worked pretty hard with them, and they came back and gave us an estimate for each road.
So that would allow anyone in town, everyone in town to have access to cable.
The 100,000 is not enough to do that. It's a good starting point. We're trying to use it so that it shows that the town is committed and we can get partners with charter as well as state or federal funds that may help.
Yeah, we like the concept, but how that gets distributed seems like it's not spelled out really. So these people that live on those 5 roads, it's good for them. But we don't want to mislead the townspeople to think that everyone in town is going to be getting some cable access.
That's true. Very true, Eric.
Matt, is it possible to leave it like till the fall for a special town meeting so that we can see how the COVID and our revenues and everything come in if they pass this new federal grant? thing for infrastructure, the internet was in on that. To get internet to everybody.
My concern is, as I had mentioned, it took almost a year to get estimates from the cable company, and we got those in 2018.
Yeah,
Every time we come back to bat, it's, can we wait a little longer? And every year you wait, it costs more. Just labor cost itself goes up. So we need some commitment from the town so we can actually start engaging other partners to complete the plan. There is no intent right now to take that 100,000 and write a check directly to anybody. It's saying, we know we got to do it. Here's our ballpark estimate. And now we've got to finalize detailed estimates and figure out the most appropriate place to apply this money. We couldn't take the next step without getting some money involved. We've gone as far as we can without committing some money to the goal here. And it's just to clarify, for some people, it's, I understand the people that live on those roads that don't have it need it. But I also know that the benefit to the town wide is the fact that this is an upgrade to those roads. It increases their value over time, which increases the town's valuation. So it becomes a long-term benefit to the entire town as we upgrade this infrastructure and make sure that if anybody's got a house on there and they want to sell it, and then somebody says, well, we don't have cable, it's a lot harder to sell.
Do we have a number of the actual households that do not have service?
It's in that email. I don't have it offhand though. I'd have to dig it up.
We do have it.
Yeah, I believe there's like 5 or 6 separate spreadsheets attached to that email, and one's for each specific road to tell you like how many houses at the time were on the road, and that would probably answer your question, Brian, on that.
Yeah. Well, you know, if we told all this beforehand, we probably would have, at least I would have been thinking a little different.
Can I ask a question? What about those areas that have service, but it's subpar?
That doesn't count.
From my perspective, I thought that is something we need to put into it's kind of all of that should be considered with how we spend this money to upgrade the town's use. Not only that, there are some people that are on a street, but they live too far from the street. And the cost to hook up it's not hey, we'll hook you up because you're within 50 feet of the street. It's, you got to pay us a couple $1,000 to get it to your house, and then we'll give you service. So there's a lot of that. And so this 100,000 was to try to get us in so we can create a better plan for the entire town. But those that have nothing, I would suggest it would be the priority, but we need to keep growing with it. And that's where I'm hoping the 100,000, if you combine it into grants and the cable company partnering with us, we can make the right steps to move forward with this. But we didn't have much to go back to any of those parties with until we could get some type of financial commitment from the town.
Matt, would it be possible to do some of it now and then some later in the fall, add to it?
Well, the goal here
And
is,
this one as a good faith?
well, look, what I was looking for here again is this would be, from what we were trying to represent, is this would be a loan authorization, a borrowing. And so we wouldn't even use that 100,000 until we needed to. It might not even be a borrowing thing that occurs until the spring, but we have the vote from town saying we're committed, so we can actually sit down at the table with our partners to create the plan and move forward.
What do you mean by borrowing? I'm not following you on that.
A ban, a loan,
From the town? Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
but instead of using free cash or some other direct funding mechanism, we would borrow as needed. So you don't have to borrow the full 100,000 to start with. If all you need to start with is 20,000 for a particular aspect of the plan, you don't need to borrow all 100,000. So you would kind of work it through like maybe quarterly borrowing, so that you can hold off interest on things that you don't need to pay interest for yet, because you don't need to spend the money yet. We would have to work with Sharon and Jean to make sure we understand their borrowing schedule. I'm just familiar with the municipality I work for does it on a quarterly basis.
Can I make a couple of points clear?
Sure.
So one, somebody asked about what if they already have service and it's poor? The town doesn't need to come up with any money for that. If someone has charter service and it sucks, they can take that up with charter, and if they can't get anywhere with charter, they can elevate it to the cable advisory committee, and we can bring in the government affairs people and apply pressure. So that's really not what we're talking about here. We're only talking about cases where the lines simply aren't there.
Well, that's not quite accurate, Josh, because cable advisory only works on TV. Core service is the internet.
That's true. But yeah, so I'll grant you that. If there is bad internet service but good cable TV service, I suppose you're right. That's outside our purview. My second point, if you were going to do it with moving free cash, it might make sense, just so people understand what's going on, to treat this the same way that the town dealt with sidewalks. So we were putting money into a fund to pay for sidewalks, but we weren't specific about which sidewalks. And that way people know that the money is being set aside for a purpose. They understand what the purpose is, but you don't have to be too specific about what it is, exactly which cable lines get extended. So that's just a thought. And my third point is that if you were going to do borrowing, obviously that's a completely different motion than the one written here. So you'd have to make sure that the motion, the warrant article is fine because it says borrow or raise and appropriate. So you'd have to write a different motion. And that motion would require a 2/3 vote. So that's going to be a lot harder to pass than if you were doing something like moving free cash into a cable capital account. So that's my input.
Borrowing requires 2/3, you're saying?
Yeah, you have to get a 2/3 vote if you have a borrowing measure. Those are very difficult to pass.
Thank you.
Jean?
Matt, do we know what the total cost would be of connecting everyone in town?
We're not talking about connecting, we're talking about getting the cable available to everybody.
Yeah, what would the
And
total cost be?
And hopefully making funds available, so that people could, connect up and we fund it, for a time. They have, a couple of years to pay back.
Yeah.
But
I'm
yeah,
just afraid that that you do these 5 streets and then for 100,000, then to get everyone is going to want to be connected.
There are 6 streets left total, and the cheapest street is $65,000 or so. Total, there's probably a couple of $100,000 to connect to all the streets around the cable. So
For the estimates, it's almost a total of 600,000.
we need to start someplace. We need to find partners, find grants, find fund matching, and try whatever we can to try to get this going. But we've got to start someplace. And we're never going to sit down and approve $600,000. That's not going to happen. It's simply not going to happen. But 100,000 is a reasonable start. I hope you guys understand. I think at least Matt and I, maybe I don't know with Dylan, but I think we're committed to trying to have this on the warrant and see what the town thinks of it. It's for the town and for the town body to decide. They're already talking, if you listen to the governor, they talk about schools deciding if they're going to do classroom time, at-home schooling, and things like that. And we have hundreds of homes probably that don't have the option for at-home schooling because there's no internet available. And that's quite frankly disgusting.
Yeah, Greg, I totally agree. Conceptually, it's a great thing to pursue.
I think the 100,000
fair and know how the cost is being distributed between federal and state and town resources.
And that's yet to be determined exactly how we spend it and what we go with. But we need to have a fund available. The fact that we've been working on this, Matt and I now, for at least 3 years. We're committed to this and we want to get it done. I have cable. It doesn't help me. Doesn't help Matt. I'm sure Dylan has cable. It doesn't help us. But we're
Yeah.
trying to get into position that we can start best serving the town. And I hope that the town trusts that we're gonna make the best decisions we can and how to get the most service out of this money we possibly can and get matching funds, because that's our goal.
So the motion should read something like you wouldn't want to say to expand coverage in certain areas, or to study where we would,
We're not gonna
expand
pay, we're not gonna pay any money to study in this. We understand what's out there and what's uncovered. But to expand cable service is the best way to explain it. We can't say to complete because we're not close to that yet.
Yep.
But to expand cable service, we could add to areas that don't have it now. But I think it's very easy to explain on the floor, to explain to people that the fact is many towns and many homes don't have it. And we're trying to, get ourselves out the dark
Yeah.
here.
Gene,
So,
when they're talking about borrowing, you wouldn't advise borrowing, would you? Or would you?
not at this point, not with the economic condition we're in right now. That's kind of, I don't know. I have a question for you guys though about this. So you're saying you're gonna start with $100,000 and you're gonna have to move on, because obviously it's gonna cost you more than $100,000. So what exactly are you going to do with the $100,000? With this $100,000, what are you actually doing with it? You're just setting it aside, saying it's for that, or?
Aside for that, and then we can start serious negotiations with people. It's hard to get charter to say, okay, we'll eat half or do something if we're not kicking anything in. And we can never say, well, we'd like to make that deal until we have the funding approved. So until we have some funding approved, we don't even know what we can get with anybody.
Okay.
It's possible we can come up to agreement to have a subcontractor run cables and get them done for less money. Maybe somebody would donate a portion once we're putting in. But if we don't have any skin in the game, we can't get anywhere.
Okay.
It's a moot point. Charter said, here's what it'll cost.
Has anybody talked with has anybody spoken with our senator or representative of the state to see what their opinion is of this?
We actually have some people in the community that have reached out to Donnie Perthingham's office, and I was contacted by them asking about this, and I had told them that we're in the process of trying to get confirmation from the town that we actually have certain funds to spend, and I would follow up with them when I have something more concrete to respond with. So there has been contact, but it hasn't been a deep discussion yet, because similar to that, I mean, the discussion we're having right now would have been the same discussion with them, which doesn't pull them in very tightly if I can't say that we actually can commit a certain amount of funds towards it. I did tell them that we're looking to do something like this, but I didn't get into any real detail because I really couldn't speak in detail on it. It's not for me to speak at that time. Nobody on the board had come to a complete consensus because we had no money to have a consensus on. So I couldn't speak on behalf of the board or the town necessarily, so I had to be a little reticent, I guess, and like, yeah, I want to get back to you. Now, this was 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe. And so the intent was, I was hoping we could get through town meeting and then I could get back to them and say, this is what I know is the case. We want to take the next steps.
Yeah, Matt, we were a little concerned about the budget. When we know that the school is going to come in needing more money, so there's going to be some adjustment. We got them level funded, and we know that we're going to need we may need something later on. But we were a little concerned that on the timing of this, that you got this COVID business going on, and you got some changes coming up. So if the town votes for this, does that commit that 100,000 to this cable project, and it can't be used elsewhere?
Yeah.
From my perspective, it does if you pull it from free cash. If you do it as a borrowing, you keep your savings and you can reallocate it as you need to in a special town meeting. And we can hold off borrowing depending on the progress of this project. Borrowing doesn't have to happen next week. It doesn't have to happen this spring. By the time we probably finish negotiating with anybody, we're not gonna be asking anybody to install poles and wires in the winter. So my guess is, once we finalize a plan, it's really gonna be an install come spring, which means we're not even gonna start the borrowing until spring, and at that point, we're already into FY22 budgeting, and we can have a better understanding of what we're doing and how we want to approach the borrowing. I think if you use your free cash and you lock it up, you've locked up your savings account. You don't want to go to stabilization for a school budget if you can help it. You'd rather have free cash sitting there that you could go after, depending on, and I understand right now we can't, once we have a town meeting, reuse that free cash. But we may get FY20's free cash certified by the time we need it come fall, winter, and have a special town meeting after we get FY20 certified. Now free cash becomes available again. But if you spend free cash, you're stuck with borrowing no matter what, and now we're borrowing for an operating expense, assuming the school budget comes in high, or like you were suggesting, Eric. So to me, it's don't use your savings account now, because that's your fail-safe in the next year and a half.
Yeah.
And unless I'm mistaken, if we do have these funds, and, who knows, maybe CARES Act will identify we need to work on the internet for education because the kids can't go to school. Maybe we can get money out of CARES Act towards it. Maybe these funds remain unspent, but just the good faith of putting forward some money might help us get aid. And I would believe, and you know it better than the finance committee, if we don't spend that next year, won't that become free cash for following year? Will become available for other things.
Not if it's in an article, Greg.
Well, you could revote the article.
Can you?
Yeah, you'd have to go back to
Because
town.
like
You'd have to go back to town meeting and revote the article for something else.
because we've been talking about that,
Or if there was a portion of it even left over, we could revoke it or
Yeah, you
make
can
a
rescind
motion
it.
to reclaim it. Yeah.
because we've got all the bridges and sidewalks money sitting in there that haven't even used any of it.
But like Matt's saying, if we approve to borrow, we probably wouldn't borrow for quite a while. We probably wouldn't borrow the full amount. And depending, if things go really well, maybe we wouldn't have to borrow. But I think we're going to have some skin in the game. I think there's a chance the way the CARES Act money goes, that we'd have to talk to people and see, can we spend some of that towards improving cable? Because we need to keep the education going if kids are getting homeschooled at all. Or there may be other avenues we got to look into, but they still may start with needing to spend the money and get reimbursed as well.
Yep.
Well, the federal government is talking about infrastructure and that.
There's also
There will be
state money available too. Peter Sam just put broadband through their whole town and had an $880,000 grant from the state to do that.
Yeah, but at a certain
There's
point,
money.
you end up owning the maintenance, which means you need the crew and the equipment. You need to own the poles, I think. I think Peter Sam's got their own municipal light department.
No, they don't.
No.
But they
No.
did a huge borrowing.
They did do a huge borrowing. Well, they had to, yeah. So, I mean, it's not cheap, but there is money.
Was that a 50-50 matching grant, or how did they do that?
I don't think it was 50-50, no, because they
No.
borrowed way more than they got. So,
Makes a little common project look small.
yeah.
Well, in comparison, 100,000 requests is kind of small.
Yeah.
It's a starting point. I think it's a reasonable starting point without biting off more than we can chew, and it lets us get doing some real groundwork on this. We've been talking it to death for years, and talk is cheap. People still don't have cable. People couldn't be doing this meeting we're doing. Something as simple as this.
One thing also I just put out there is, I know it's going to come up. People are going to say, well, there's only so many people on these roads compared to the total population of Barre. Why is the town? I think people need to understand that the people that live on these roads, some of them aren't just somebody that just needs internet access for them. Some of them are actually teachers that need internet access to teach the students. So you're not just affecting that family, you're affecting every student that teacher teaches. So that's what I'm trying to say. It has a bigger impact than just providing cable to a house. it's a kind of a societal impact right now that we're trying to figure out how we can resolve, and this is our first step.
This
But
isn't
you see that it's gonna be around 600,000 to do the whole town.
as of 2 years ago, yes.
Good point, Greg. Who knows what it is
Oh,
today?
Yeah, this isn't 1984 and like, oh wow, this new internet thing, is it gonna catch on? You know, we're almost 40 years down the road, we still don't have it. We've gotta do something. And we talk about a master plan and drawing business and new development, new homes in town. Who wants to come here if we can't give them cable service?
Well, we need to start with the public hearing. There's a few people here, and start with our beginning of our finance committee booklet. So we can go over that.
Good.
Thank you for the time. I'll sit back and listen.
Oh, thank you.
Mute my mic.
Heather did a wonderful job with this finance committee booklet this year. She's got more information in here than I think that I've ever seen in a book, explaining everything. In the first page explains all about how we come up with the budgets and how we work on them. And we spend a lot of time with them, working with the selectmen and the different department heads. The next section is on the FY21 revenues. And Jean has offered to give us a little brief talk about where all the revenues come from, so that's the amount of money we have to spend. Jean, if you could maybe just give a brief as to where they're all coming from.
Which ones, local receipts?
Yeah.
Okay, so local receipts are broken down into different categories. Fines and forfeitures, departmental revenue, miscellaneous revenue, motor vehicle excise, whatnot. And we estimate every year how much we think we're going to bring in, and usually we come pretty close to it by the end of the year. But this year with COVID, things are falling short of estimates, so we will see how it turns out in the end, but right now we are a little bit short in different things, and I really do think it's because of COVID. Everybody was shut down, there was no building going on, and there was not many permits. It's been updated, although it's not in this budget report, but I did send out budget revenue reports to all the finance committee members today, so that they have the most updated revenue that I have. And we'll take a look at it again at the end of next week, because June 30th is Tuesday, so we'll see where we come out after the town meeting, but it's the way it goes. So, about it, Claire.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions at all on the revenues that you've been wondering about or would like answers on at all? Because now's your chance to ask.
I'm curious why we dropped the projections for water and sewer revenues.
Because when we go into set the tax rate, we need our revenues to equal our expenditures. So if you bring in more money for water and sewer, that's fine. It'll just end up in retained earnings, which, as you can see, the retained earnings have been growing in the water and sewer funds. But to do the bid, and to post it on the recap sheet when we go to set the tax rates, has to equal. So that's why we usually do our budget first, and then we always know our user charges will come in higher than what we really will need. So then we just make it so that it works. So that's why we go in that way.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So the next section is the expenses. And Heather has listed them all out here
What page,
by department.
what page you on, Claire?
Starting on page 13.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone that doesn't have one of these, they will be given out at town meeting. But they are available online and you can print off your own or just use them on the computer. But we go through each department and we asked all departments to level fund this year. But we are giving our employees a 2% COLA. So that's included in this budget. On the police budget, this is what we're budgeting, but they will be going into contract negotiations in this coming year. So that will end up having to go up. We've included a little in there, but we have no idea what the final number will be. The town clerk's budget, the election expense has gone up, but we're having a presidential election this year. Heather did one thing this year. She took all the postage out of all the different departments and put it through one central account. Because they use a postage machine and it makes it easier if people don't have to keep track of everything in each department. She went through and analyzed how much each department was using and then put it all into one account so that we just have a central postage account. Rob, would you like to talk a little bit on the ambulance at all? People might be interested on that.
Yep, absolutely.
Especially with the COVID and everything they made.
So we're looking at replacing our 2005 ambulance number 2. Like I said, it's the 2005. May not sound that old, but in the world of ambulances, that's pretty old. It suffered, I think in the last year and a half, we've put over $30,000 in it to keep it on the road. It's at the point now where parts, it's beyond the point. It doesn't make financial sense to keep dumping money into it versus replacing it. So we're looking for $285,000. It would be a custom ambulance, like all our ambulances are custom ambulances. We have a committee. The committee's been working pretty hard over the last 6 months or so with some of the local vendors to build an ambulance specific to the needs of Barre. Our ambulance is a little bit more money than some other communities at $285, but we need 4-wheel drive. The ambulance we're looking to replace, we have one non-4-wheel drive ambulance and one 4-wheel drive ambulance. So this is the 4-wheel drive. We're looking to get a little heavier duty cab, just due to the roads and the wear and tear of our backcountry roads and driveways. The trucks do take a beating. I looked today. We have 2 ambulances, and ambulance 2 averages over 400 calls a year that it responds on in the town of Barre. And we do try to alternate which ambulance we use first, so we're not beating up on one ambulance all the time. So, both ambulances together, we do a little over 900 ambulance calls a year, or calls that the ambulance goes on. So they do take a beating.
Thank you, Ron.
Hey, could you turn your mic up a little? Could you turn your mic up a little, Bob?
Maybe.
Under sound settings, you should be able to get.
I have a different screen. I'll just talk louder. How's that?
Yeah,
All right, it's just a little hard to hear.
Yeah, I'll just talk louder.
Rob, in conjunction with the ambulance,
Yeah.
when you attended our meeting, you had said that if you had free cash to buy the ambulance, it would be a lot less time to get it, and you would die in need of a new one?
Originally, had speaking with the service, the salesman for the different vendors out there. That was what they were telling us after I'd spoken to them. I don't know if they were just telling me that to try to call the ambulance, but after speaking with all the sales reps, we don't pay for the ambulance until we accept delivery of the ambulance, and we're looking at probably 8 months build time. So whichever the town decides, whether it's free cash or they want to bond it, it's not going to affect the time in which the ambulance is.
Okay, excellent.
But we have a contract, pretty much, we have the specs written out, similar to the new fire engine we got last year. We want to buy it off the municipal bid list for the state. You don't have to bid it, and then we can just, it's already bid, basically, it's on the state list. So the committee has pretty much got the ambulance specs tightened up to exactly what they want. And I'm hoping that after the town meeting, within a few days, we can sign a contract and we can get it ordered. Because unfortunately, the hiccup that we ran into, and nobody saw COVID coming, I guess, was that all of the manufacturers that build ambulance trucks, Chevy, Dodge, and Ford, they shut all their truck plants down to build ventilators. That was a big backlog into the cab for ambulance. So the market, they just started rebuilding the cabs again. The market's got to catch back up. We're behind, so that's going to add a couple more months. So if everything goes well at town meeting next week, it will most likely be 8 months before we see the new ambulance in town in service. And I'm hoping the ambulance too can make it 8 more. It's in pretty bad shape.
Is hoping. Well, thank you.
Jean, could you give us a little insight on borrowing versus cash, free cash with the town and the situation that we're in?
Well, I would prefer that we use free cash for the ambulance and pay for it outright, and it's ours, and we have no payments down the line. If you look in this report and look at all our debt payments, it's kind of a big chunk. And with the way the economy's going right now, we don't know what the revenues are going to be from the state. If we start cutting our budget, I don't know how much wiggle room we have for debt payments coming down the line when we have so many right now. A couple of big bands out there. We had bought all that other capital improvement stuff, and we've been trying to do really big principal pay downs on it, get it paid within 10 years, because after 10 years we have to bond it. So I just don't know with where the economy's going. There's so many unknowns right now. And I know we need an ambulance. I mean, I totally agree with that. But in my opinion, I would just prefer to use free cash to buy it outright and have no payments on it. I think it's a worthwhile thing for us to do. I don't know. That's just my opinion. That would be my professional opinion of it. Instead of borrowing that, I would buy it.
And for anyone that is watching, Jean is our accountant for the town of Barre. Just so that people will know who you are if they don't already.
Yeah, probably not.
I mean, we're looking at the select board with the same, aspect as the cable funds. If we deplete $285,000 in free cash, that's gone.
Yeah.
A payment certainly. If we borrow for the ambulance, the interest on that is minimal. To have the cash setting aside, we can sit in the cash and make the payments over the years, but it keeps our cash available if we have a shortfall in revenues or we have a need. And I thought we understood that there is a payment dropping off after 2021. Isn't that correct, Ms. Sewer?
Yeah, probably, but then there's still you still have that big huge band with all those other capital projects that was over $1 million. So we're paying all that stuff down, trying to get it paid off before bonding it. you know, if we don't have, and then you have the situation this year, I don't know what our free cash is gonna be. I don't even know if we're gonna have a revenue deficit, because our revenues are not where they're supposed to be.
What's the volume of money that's left in the ban outstanding, and what's the term we have left to pay it before bonding it?
Oh, I don't know, I'd have to look that up. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay. We're sitting in a comfortable position in our levy limit. I understand we don't want to increase
Right.
our ratio. And, you know, originally when Andrew talked about this was a borrowing issue for this ambulance. He only switched to buy because there's so much free cash. But once again, the board's concern is, I understand you'd like to spend the cash, we have it, but I would rather keep some cash in the kitty. You know, we have enough cash to pay for the ambulance. That money will still be there. So we can make our payments out of that cash if need be. But I'd rather have that cash available.
Well, you're only gonna have that, you're only gonna have that cash until you set your tax rate. Then that free cash number is going away. Because then we're gonna be certified for a new free cash. Whether we have money then or not, I don't know. But this number that we're playing with now, the 634,000, is only gonna be good until we set our tax rate. It's not gonna go to the end of the fiscal year or anything, because we're gonna recertify, I'm gonna close my books and we're gonna recertify and we're gonna have a new number. Now you're looking at what revenues did we have come in that are gonna contribute to that? What can I close out in the appropriations that's gonna contribute to that new free cash number? What that number is gonna be, I don't know. It may be a lot less than 600,000. But the way I'm looking at it is if we spend the 285, we've got the ambulance. No one can take that away from us.
I thought this free cash was our certified free cash from last year's leftover revenues.
It is. It's last year's free cash, which we normally would only get to use until June 30th. Then it would stop. But however, with the COVID, they have allowed us to use it into fiscal 21 until our tax rate is set. So whatever you use at this town meeting will be deducted from that 600, and we'll still have that money to use up until we set our tax rate, or I get recertified for free cash for this year.
But if we don't use it, it will become recertified for next year.
I can't guarantee that money will still be there. There's too many unknown factors. Our fees are not what they're supposed to be. So
Here's the point, though. If it's not there, it means we
Shouldn't have spent it.
still need to find other money to cover what we lost. Because if it's not there, it means our budget got blown away because of all the issues.
Right.
But if we leave it there, it could help dig us out of that hole that you're saying could disappear.
It may not necessarily be there.
It can't disappear if you don't spend it. It just rolls until the next time, and then you got to allocate it for shortfalls potentially.
Let me sound something off everybody here. What if we take even 150 or 200,000 and put it into stabilization? That way, it's still there. And that way, if we have to, it takes a 2/3 vote, but we can pull it out for problems in the future.
When Andrew, the reason we have 600, what is it, 645 free cash something this year?
I think it's 634 something.
Yeah.
Because either last year or the year before, Andrew purposefully left 300,000 in free cash so that our additional 345,000 free cash plus the 300,000 we purposely left to roll over from year to year gave us the 600 so that we had the ability to deal with something like COVID and have that safety net without having to dig into our stabilization. Or I do understand the original intent was to use it for certain capital items, but we have entered a whole new financial environment. So you've got to reevaluate what you're going to do with that free cash. Technically, we're looking at stabilization's long-term savings, free cash is short-term savings, and then you can borrow. Right now, if you don't want to dig into your savings because you may need a quicker, more liquid opportunity to address something. You don't have to borrow against something for an operating cost shortfall. I would recommend that if you're doing a capital investment, you work towards borrowing. Otherwise, you leave your free cash there, so whether it's the fall or the spring next year, as you said, Gene, we've been given until tax certification this year to use it. If not, we recertify. So is that about March?
It should be way before March.
So we get recertified so we can have,
But don't think your recertification may be 634,000 plus. It may not be.
it might be 300,000,
Yeah, right. It might be 300,000.
but it would only
Or
be
200,000.
15,000 if you bought that ambulance.
You don't know, the way I understand it, Matt, is you don't really know what the state, how they're gonna certify it. When they look at your books and do it, it's like a pie in the sky thing.
Well,
yeah,
we have
I think if
the
Gene
formula.
wouldn't say that because she's confident in how she's doing her job. There are
And
not,
we have a formula. My problem right now, Matt, is that our revenues are low. So I don't even know if we're gonna have a revenue deficit because of problems.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. And how much can I close out of this year's budget to close to free cash? I don't know. And I still have till July 15th to pay bills. So
why are you suggesting we use free cash to buy an ambulance of 285,000?
Because I just think
We don't even know if we'll have that balance to use.
because I just think that we don't need any more debt because you're gonna have to make payments and you don't know what's coming down the line for what the fall's gonna bring. When we get those revenue numbers from the state, what if we don't even get level funded from the state? What if that's lower?
Yeah.
So you're not gonna be, how are you gonna come up in your budget for all debt payments if you don't have the money to spend between the school and the town budget? And then you're gonna keep adding more debt payments to that equation too?
Is it harder to make up 30,000 or 285,000?
Point is, Matt, you wouldn't have to make up 285,000. You've already got the ambulance.
No, we don't. We're trying to figure out how we're going to get the ambulance, and it will be.
Because you have the cash now.
Right,
That free cash is a rolling number. If you use it,
Not necessarily.
it's not going to be there next spring. That amount will not roll over.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will roll
You're
over.
not really understanding it, Matt, from
You're
the
not
accountant's
doing your
point of
job
view.
clarifying it. But the money is there, and we can spend it at certain increments in our fiscal year, depending on the time of certification and the time that you are allowed from that point on to allocate it somewhere. The problem is, if you don't, it just rolls back into free cash. So it shows up next year.
No,
No, it doesn't, Matt. It doesn't
it can get
necessarily.
eaten up.
Yeah.
No, you're missing my point. If it got eaten up, whatever ate it up is still going to happen.
Right.
So
No.
instead of saying
You have an ambulance.
285,000 that got eaten up because the budget didn't work the way the state didn't fund us, now you don't even have the 285,000 to help.
But you,
You're putting yourself 285,000 in the hole if
No,
so, Matt, we're just gonna disagree on this point, so.
yeah.
I've stated what I think should be done, and that I'll leave it at that. What the town does is what the town will do.
It's the accounting background, Gene, that throws it in. Well, let's move on. I'm not sure that, if everybody knows that we do have a regional building that we're sharing it, so that helps with the cost and that. We also have town buildings that are maintained. If you get one of these, you'll see them. And we have an IT department, Parks and Commons, the selectmen, Our Board of Health is now, regional. We share with another town. We have a great senior center. And, our director's salary, we have a grant, a federal grant that comes in that helps pay for her salary, which helps us all. We have a great library. So I don't know if there's anyone that has any questions on the budget at all, or as far as we've got here. We start into the actual warrant that you will be voting on Tuesday. Article 1 is the Water Enterprise Fund. Article 2 is the sewer. Article 3 is free cash, which will be moved to the end of the meeting, so that if we need to take money from that, we will know how much at that point. Article 4 is where we transfer monies from the ambulance receipt reserve account to pay for the ambulance, helps pay for it. Then we have our Omnibus Budget, which is all of the departments in the town. And we, this year, asked everybody to level fund. The Article 6 is the school budget. And on the Quabbin, Vermont Tech came in, they came in less this year. Quabbin, we don't have any real number. They had come in at, I think, 3% above, and then it dropped to, I think it was 1.9. And now they don't really know what it's going to be with the COVID and what they're going to have to do, or when schools will start up and how they will. So we decided to level fund them as what we paid them last year. And then when we go to special town meeting in the fall, we know they will probably need some more. And we'll have a better idea. They don't know what the state is sending them for their share of the schooling either yet, right now. Then we have revolving funds, which is fees that are going in and then being paid out. Jesse, did you want to say something?
I could see a message, Jesse. I assume we all can.
Yeah. Yes, we can all see the message, Jesse. Did you have a question?
Allow the host to unmute you.
I don't know. That must have been Rob. He maybe hit it by mistake, I would think.
Well, I wasn't on for the first 10 minutes I was sitting there, so.
We have our
If he wants to speak.
annual. We have our annual snow removal accounts, which is Article 10 and Article 11 that we do every year. You never know how much snow or ice or whatever we're getting. And that comes out of the free cash. That's a normal thing every year. Article 12 is the Wachusett Greenways. which we've been giving them $1,000 each year to help with the rail trail going through the town.
I have a question on that one.
Okay,
The selectmen, how did they vote? Did they vote affirmative on that?
they haven't voted yet.
Really?
We did discuss it, and if I'm speaking out of turn, I'm sure they'll speak up. You know, when we talked about the state trying to come in and close all these trails in town, and the hundreds of people that turned out for their meeting, and the interest in keeping the trails and things open, clearly our community shares our feeling that these are important, and our $1,000 donation, I think, is important to show that we still support those.
Okay, so you're gonna be favorable in front of them.
I believe we all will be, yes.
All right, thank you.
I will be in favor.
I should hope.
I will be in favor as well.
That will be all.
Article 13 is for a police cruiser. And Finance Committee had voted favorable on that. That will come out of the free cash. I don't know if the chief is with us tonight or not.
I haven't seen him.
I haven't seen him either.
He is on, I believe.
Greg, do you know all the background behind it? It's really needed, and we were saying that we need to get one every year to replace our old.
It's been our intent. It's been our intent since I've been on that we supply a new cruiser every year. I believe, I want to say we have 5 in total, but you know, they put a lot of miles on them. And when I got in office, we were in a situation where all of the cruisers, or 4 of the 5, had in excess of 100,000 miles, and they were all just depleted. So we asked the chief to come up with a rotation before we started supplying these to demonstrate they'd all get equal use, so they would run out incrementally. So, you know, you really need to replace 1 a year, and we promise to try to keep that schedule.
Yeah.
Yep.
I believe they're also still at a point where they're 2 vehicles behind schedule. So they still have 2 vehicles that are older than 5 years. So they're trying to get themselves caught up so that they're not. There's 1 vehicle I think they said that they don't even use unless it's an emergency.
Yeah, I remember the chief saying that. Then Article 14 is the new ambulance, which we've had discussion on already. Article 15 is the Ruggles Lane parking lot. Needed some work. We're going to be talking to Sheila again on that to see about it. I guess it's been in pretty bad shape. So we'll hear something from her before the town meeting. Article 16 is a general warrant that's on the article. And the Chapter 90s. Jason, do you want to explain what the Chapter 90s is? So if there's people here from town that don't know what that is? Is he still with us? You know, just give them a brief explanation what Chapter 90's money is, how we submit for things we do. And
So the Chapter 90, we come up with a list with the select board and the roads we're gonna pave or resurface or do drainage projects on for the year. We submit it to the state for approval. Once we get approved from the state, we go ahead and we do the work, and the town actually pays for it, and then it gets reimbursed from the state once the projects are complete.
good. Article 19 is, 18 is allowing the treasurer collector to do borrowing for the town. Article 19 is to let the selectmen choose town offices when someone leaves their position, or, you want to explain that, Matt?
It pretty much gives the power to the Board of Selectmen to fill in positions that are normally elected or positions that are voted into the organizational chart and fit in the budget for us to appoint people to those positions. So, for instance, just an example, when Dennis Fleming resigned from the planning board, it went before the Board of Selectmen. We moved the associate planner up to the planning position, and then we appointed a new associate planner until the election that just occurred this Tuesday. And
Could I contradict you, Matt?
I'm sure you can, and you
guys
probably
have that
will be right.
You guys have that right regardless of this. That's not what this is for. So this particular article is to, for the town meeting to choose officers that, boards that aren't elected or appointed. And what that really means, as the description says, is it's when I reappoint members of the finance committee. That's all this really means.
Thank you.
You guys have the power to do what you just said. This has nothing to do with it. If this got defeated, I would have trouble appointing finance committee members, but you guys could still do your job.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I misread.
I didn't.
Thank you.
I hadn't really understood what that was exactly.
So this is all for Josh in the moderator position. In our
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll have to remember that now.
Yep.
Article 20 is accepting reports of all the different committees. And then Article 21, which we had discussed earlier, the cable access expenditure. Now, does anyone have any questions on anything or anything about the town government they want to find out more about? I guess not. So, unless there's something else that we need to discuss or anything, we could adjourn the meeting.
Like to make a motion to adjourn?
Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
See you all Tuesday. Tuesday,
Thank you, Rob, for your expertise.
I hope I did all right.
Yeah,
you did great, Rob.
It's fine, Bob.
certainly did.
Thanks, everybody.
Aye.
Hey, we appreciate it.